Tuesday, September 22nd, day 126. Today, I believe the plan is to hike around 26 miles. And yeah, we're probably just 3 miles in so far at this point. And it's looking like it's going to be a pretty nice day. And we got some decent views, like look at those mountains back there. That's quite nice. Yeah, I like these pines that turn yellowish. Apparently, when I first saw them, I thought they were just sickly, and that's why they turn yellow. But apparently, they actually just turn yellow in the fall. That's really cool. I really wish Montana had some of those. We've hiked, I think, somewhere around 25 miles to our camp today. This is, I believe, our penultimate camp, or I suppose you could maybe consider it our last camp, depending on how you look at it. Tomorrow is when we expect to hit the border. It's only about 15 miles away, but we'll have to hike back to Hart's Pass, which will be 30 miles from the border, so we still have 45 miles of hiking, so probably camp one more time, but we'll have technically completed the PCT at that point. So far, the weather has been pretty nice today, but I believe it was forecasted to be rainy the next 2 days, so hopefully it's not too miserable.
It's Wednesday, September 23rd. Today is the day when we're going to reach the border. It's been pretty stormy all day today. Quite a bit of rain. It mists almost constantly, and then on and off we'll get some more serious rain. Right now, we've reached the high point before the border. You can just see that there's clouds everywhere. It was raining pretty hard like 2 minutes ago, but right now we're having a nice dry moment. Since we're at the high point from the border, we're about 7.5 miles from the border, and it's all downhill from here. We're going to drop 3,500 feet. So we've decided to drop all of the gear that we won't need and try to slack pack it to the border. Since it's raining, we've got our Tyvek out, and we're going to leave the stuff like our tent and sleeping bags, clothes, anything we're not going to use. And we'll wrap it up in our Tyvek and leave it under these little trees, and then we'll be able to go down and climb all that way back up with much lighter bags. So hopefully it'll be a lot easier and quicker. We're hoping the Tyvek keeps everything nice and dry.
I'm guesstimating that we're probably about a mile from the end. It's been raining off all day. As you can see, the trail is getting a bit wet and muddy, but we've been able to stay mostly dry in our rain gear, and even though I'm pretty sure it's probably a fairly cool day, we're able to stay sufficiently warm while we're moving. So yeah, it hasn't been terrible, but not the most lovely of days. Yeah, kind of exciting that we're close to the end now. So I believe we should be within minutes of the Terminus. And it's still raining. Ooh, I think here we are pretty much. Something was right here. Let's catch up with the girl.
There it is! We did it!
So satisfying.
I'm gonna touch the Terminus. Touch. And whatever this is, touch. once I started planning on doing this trip, and once I was pretty sure that I was going to do it, I decided to make myself a ring. I like doing metalworking as a hobby, so I figured I'd make myself a ring and I'd carry it the entire PCT, and then once I finally got to the terminus, I'd be able to put it on. However, I must say this kind of makes you feel a little bit like Frodo. You have this special ring that you're not allowed to wear, and you have to walk thousands of miles. So now I'm a little bit undecided if, I should try and like throw it into a pit of fire, or if I should put it on. But I guess I'm going to do the same thing Frodo did, and put it on whether or not I'm supposed to. So let's see. Yep. Hard to put a ring on one-handed. There we have it. So it's still raining, and we're walking up the hill on this trail. I'm not sure how much you can tell, but the trail actually has like a stream in it. Now, this isn't anything too unusual. We're used to this a lot in Montana. However, it's kind of amusing that, I don't know, right now, this trail is almost a better water source than some of the previous water sources that we have used, especially like in the desert and other water scarce areas. Something like this would have been considered a good water source. So today, has been interesting, I guess. It's rained basically all day. It started raining probably 6:37. It's now 6:37 again, and it's still rained that whole time pretty much. At first it wasn't too bad. It would like drizzle a little, but then it would clear up a bit, and then drizzle a bit more and clear up a bit more. And with our rain gear and stuff, we seem to be staying pretty dry and pretty warm, so all was good. However, the closer we got to the border, it seemed like the rain was getting worse and worse. First it would drizzle a little, then stop, drizzle a little, then stop. Then it started to, maybe rain a bit harder and then fall back to a drizzle. Then rain a bit harder and fall back to a drizzle. And basically by the time we were at the border, at the northern terminus, it was more or less, I'd say, constant rain at least to some level. And so at the border, it is essentially constant rain, at least a little bit the whole time. But I don't know, our rain gear had mostly seemed to have been holding up to that point. It was beginning to wet through a little bit, I think, but we were still mostly dry, mostly warm and moving, so not too bad. And I do actually think we more or less managed to enjoy our time at the terminus. However, once we started heading back, it got a bit worse. At the time we spent at the terminus hoping that the weather would clear up, and actually managed to, since it was getting worse, actually started getting like standing puddles and streams and stuff on the trail, so we had to contend with that. And then we stopped once to grab some water because we figured we were going to have a dry camp. And at that point, I felt like we got really wet and never really dried off since then. The rain gear was like completely wet through, our gloves were completely wet through, and we just got, at that point we were thoroughly wet and it was still raining. And then shortly after that, we started getting colder and colder to now where we're setting up camp. However, things have not improved. It is still raining and at times quite bad. I feel like our camp isn't in the best spot, so it's almost like our camp is slightly flooding, and everything pretty much is wet. I don't know, this seems like maybe the most serious situation we've been in on PCT. We're wet, and it's just going to get colder. So we kind of have to decide if we think we can huddle down in our tents and stand the night, and then hike out in the morning, even though it'll be colder, but hopefully it won't be actively raining. Or do we want to try and pack up now in the rain and just hike out the miserable 21 miles or whatever to the trailhead? Of course, once we're to the trailhead, we still have the problem of the vehicles don't expect us then, so we're not going to have a ride really unless we send the message out soon and hopefully they'll receive it, but I don't know. But who knows, maybe hiking will be warmer than huddling in a tent when everything is wet. It's hard to tell. And I mean, if we do make it to the trailhead, there's an outhouse at least, which that's more or less guaranteed to be dry and windproof at least. So yeah, should we try and huddle down in our tents and possibly have a miserable night, just have a miserable morning? Or do we just pack up now and have just the miserable night and not so bad of a morning?
It's Thursday, September 24th, just after 6 a.m. I just woke up. You can now see that the rain has turned to snow. Knew it was going to drop into the 30s overnight, but we didn't think it would actually get below freezing. I'm gonna try to fix my headlight that opened up. You can see out there, that's my bag with its rain fly on the ground. So it's still coming down and it's snowy. So we're eating quickly in our tents, and then we're gonna do packing up as quickly as we can.
Friday, September 25th. I don't think we took any videos yesterday, and I'm not even sure how many videos we did the day before, so I figured I'd just give a quick recap of the past few days. So, on Wednesday was the day we made it to the northern terminus. It was a fairly rainy day, so by the time we set up camp, we were quite wet, and unfortunately a lot of our even other equipment had gotten wet. Like Jerica's quilt was quite wet, and my puffy was wet. Yeah, lots of our equipment was quite wet at that point. So since it was still raining, and it seems like the raining was only getting worse and worse, we decided to set up camp at basically the first available camp we found, which was at a higher elevation than we would have liked, was kind of exposed, and was smaller than we would have liked. So partly due to us rushing to set up our tents because it was raining, and partially due to the small size of the campground, and neither of us got that good of a pitch. So that caused us to get even wetter during the night. So yeah, we did manage to stay the whole night, and I think both of us believe we slept more than not during the night. But it was definitely a cold night, and if anything, we just got wetter. So yeah, not the most pleasant night. We were, at least I was kind of concerned how getting up in the morning was going to be, because it was going to be really close to like freezing temperatures, low 30s or something. Plus we were really wet, and we didn't really have anything dry to change into, and we decided to break camp and hike like 20 miles or something. So yeah, I was a little worried that breaking camp would be freezing cold, and then the hike out would be absolutely terrible, but it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Even though like my puffy jacket was wet and my rain gear was still sopping wet and most of my other clothes were still damp, it still actually did a good job of keeping me warm. However, when we did stop for lunches, we did quickly get cold again. So yeah, if you weren't moving, it could get cold pretty fast. We hiked 19 or 20 miles to where we met the support vehicles at Hart's Pass. Pretty good time. I think we probably started hiking sometime around 7 and then met with the support vehicles around 1:30. After that, we basically just drove to a nearby town, I think it was like Omak or something, and got a hotel to help try and dry off all of our equipment, do laundry, and yeah, it's really nice to be inside after spending like 30 hours or so, or 36 hours out in the rain. Today, yeah, our trip is basically over, so we're heading back towards home for us, but we plan to make maybe a few stops on the way. Yeah, I believe Jurney has a friend who wants to stop in at. We might go see some extended family. We're thinking about maybe visiting Glacier, so yeah, we're heading home, but it'll still probably be a few days as we make stops on the way.